Hello, welcome to the masterclass called Finding Hope When You're Living in Uncertainty, an online retreat for Catholic single women in their 30s and 40s to help renew their faith in God and become confident stewards of their lives. I'm your host, Anne-Marie Clovey, and today we have Susan Winnicky. Susan specializes in helping women create lifelong income. She listens. She helps you develop a vision for your financial future. Her specialty is creating a paycheck you can't outlive and transferring risk so you can have peace of mind. She's a financial planner who will show you by strategically integrating investments, income annuities, and life insurance, the potential exists to develop more efficient retirement income strategies that support a higher income level and could help alleviate risk than investment-only strategies. Just as you would use a recipe to cook your favorite dish, it's necessary to use a recipe to combine products to maximize your income. Susan's back office insurance and investment partners include an actuary, CFP, and next generation software tools that help optimize the right product combinations for you. So whether you're looking for unique ways to grow your wealth while limiting downside risk, mitigate taxes, take care of those you love, enhance charitable gifts, or protect against sickness, Susan will be your trusted guide. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Nice to see you.
You too. Now, today our topic is creating guaranteed retirement income. And my first question for you is, how do you know when you have enough money to retire?
That's a great question. And you know what? That is the reason why I got into this business, is because I was wondering the same thing. So I worked for many years in Fortune 500 companies, and that seemed to be the $1 million question. And so I started doing some research, and then one thing led to another. And pretty soon, I started studying and crunching numbers and listening to economists to try to figure out what that answer is. And you know what? It is multiple layers. And that's why I'm in this business now, is because I think that people do want to learn how to do that, but it's not really very easy to do it on your own. You really need an expert. So I use next generation software to do that, as well as I consult with a lot of different experts. And then I go and look for the right products so that we can build a glide path so that you know exactly what your income is going to be. And so it's using a combination of products. So there is a way to figure it out. It's very difficult to do it on your own.
All right, thank you. And how do you know, or how do you make sure that you don't run out of money in retirement?
So the good news is there are products that are designed to do just that, is give you guarantees. So bottom line is you need to use a variety of different products so that you can have some guarantees, but then you can also have maybe some high side risk, but also potential for really growth in your portfolio.
And what are the biggest risks that can sabotage a retirement plan?
Really, there are four major risks, and one is a stock market downturn. In fact, if the market decreases during your first 5 years of retirement, it drastically increases your chances of running out of money. And so most experts will agree that you need an alternative bucket of money that's not invested in the stock market. And that way, you can use an alternative bucket when the market is down to take money out so that you don't solidify your losses in the market. So that's the top risk. Another risk is tax rates. And, no one knows the future. You'll be shocked to know that right now we're in a 75-year low as far as having tax rates. Everybody thinks that our taxes are high. They're actually on a very low rate. Also, our federal debt is $31 trillion, which sounds like a huge number. And it is. It's higher than our national GDP. So many people think tax rates will go up. So what you can do now is save in something that you pay the taxes, and then as your investments grow, you withdraw the money and you don't pay tax again. There's not very many of those products, Roth IRAs and cash value life insurance are really the only ones that you don't pay tax. Well, there's muni bonds, but you don't pay estate tax, but you can still pay some federal tax. So there are some products that are designed that you pay tax now, so you don't have to pay tax later. So that's another good tip for trying to invest in some of those products. The fourth risk is outliving your money. My grandmother lived to be 102. So in my mind, I'm thinking I need to plan that my money will stick with me until I'm 102. And I want to spend all my money. I don't want to have anything left. So that's a really hard thing, right? And there are a couple of products that guarantee you money. For instance, your Social Security, that will stick with you until you die. And there's also other products such as annuities that you can buy that will stick with you so that they will never run out while you're still living. So that's the third risk that you could alleviate. And then the fourth risk is disability, either physically, mentally. 70% of retirees are going to need some sort of long-term care help. It could be they stay in their home and they have somebody come and help them. Or maybe they need to go to a different kind of facility, assisted living, or even a nursing home. Bottom line, this risk can add another $50,000 a year of expenses, and that's kind of on a minimal level. So those are the four risks: the stock market downturn, tax rates, outliving your money, and disability. But there is a way to plan for retirement, even though we don't know if any of those things will happen, because there's different products designed to reduce that risk. And so a good retirement plan is going to mitigate that risk that you're concerned about.
And that leads us perfectly into our next question. Does it matter what type of product I use to save for retirement?
It absolutely matters. And bottom line is, most people, accumulate their wealth in the stock market through like a 401k or an IRA, and they think that that's the only thing that they need to do. And I want to talk about two different types of products. And so actually, this is something, if you're going to write something down from this webinar, it would be this, that there are two different types of products out there. One is accumulation products that are based on your individual return on investment, like stocks, bonds, real estate. It doesn't matter if that's, in an IRA wrapper or a 401k wrapper. You could also just buy those things on your own, but they're based on your individual rate of return. The other product type is a distribution product, and that is based on a pool of millions of lives, and it's based on mortality credit. So it works completely different. Think about like insurance products. So most of you either have car insurance or homeowners insurance, renters insurance, and those are insurance products are based on a pool of millions of lives. And there are distribution retirement products that are also based on a pool of millions of lives. The good thing about that is that they allow for a higher guaranteed income than if you would just withdraw from an individual account, on what experts recommend is probably 2.5 or 3% of your overall investment portfolio. So I like to look at it as, imagine a mountain and you are climbing up the mountain. So in your mind, imagine you're climbing up a mountain and those are your working years. And you're saving, you're sacrificing for tomorrow, okay? And once you reach the summit, so it's retirement age, you say, cheers, this is great. I can't wait to start, spending my money. But then you start thinking about those four risks that we just talked about. And what ends up happening is you're worried about spending your money and running out. You're worried about the stock market. You're worried about tax rates. You're worried about disability. And so some people, what they do is they hoard their money and they don't enjoy retirement because they're worried about those risks and they haven't covered them. So what you can do is when you're climbing down the mountain is use a combination of accumulation and distribution products to guarantee that you won't run out of money and to give you a buffer so that you don't have to hoard your money because you know how you're going to be able to spend efficiently. So there's accumulation products and distribution products, and it's that balancing of the two, kind of like riding on a teeter-totter. It's no fun to get on a teeter-totter with somebody who's way heavier than you because there's no tottering back and forth. You need to balance out your accumulation and your distribution buckets, put them on opposite ends of the teeter-totter, and you will mitigate a lot of the or all of the risks if you would like to through your financial plan.
And my last question for you is what happens if I retire and the stock market drops?
So a couple different things. If you have an alternative bucket of money, like a distribution product or just something that's not in the market, I would highly recommend that you withdraw from that bucket of money. However, some people end up going back to work. I mean, literally, there's a sequence of returns risk that is a huge risk. And that is that we just don't know how the stock market is going to return. And so if it is dropping during those first 5 years of retirement, you won't have much money probably past about year 10 because you have basically withdrawn your principal at a loss. And so there is other things that you need to do. So, here's what I recommend is, a budgeting first off is to, build a budget and keep track of how you're doing. And then you can build a savings plan. And I love sharing this so much that I want to make it as simple as I can for you. If you send me an email, I'll be happy to send you a budgeting tool to get you started. But once you're ready to save, I like to use kind of a 3-bucket strategy approach. So imagine 3 buckets. The first bucket is an emergency bucket, and you fill that first with 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So, you might have rent coming in or mortgage, wherever your living expenses. Maybe you have some expenses with your car, you need to eat, what are those expenses that come in no matter you're working or not, right? And you can't scrimp anymore. You should have 3 to 6 months of that set aside in case you lose your job or are disabled. It kind of depends upon 3 to 6 months is a big range, but how fast can you be reemployed? If you're a nurse, and you've lost your job, you could probably be a temp nurse until you find something else. Maybe you don't need as big of a emergency bucket, that first bucket that I'm talking about. The second bucket is really a live now bucket. And that is where you can save for cars, houses, college, trips. And then the third bucket is really retirement that you really can't use until you're 59 and a half years old, or you'll pay a big penalty. What I have found is that a common pitfall is not filling the second bucket, that living now bucket, which means that people use car loans and credit cards to live for today. And it's an easy trap to fund a lender's dream, but it's not your dream. So take the time to learn how money works, to create a budget, to create a savings plan. And it's easier to stick to a budget when you have a plan. And failure to plan is planning to fail. So if you have retired and the stock market is down, if you've properly planned, you'll have another bucket of money that you can pull from when that scenario happens.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm going to have to re-listen to this a few different times. All right.
Well, I love talking about it. So if anybody wants to discuss it further, I can really get more into your scenario because every plan should be specific to you. There isn't just one answer to it. And I've got really great software that we put in specific situations. and come up with, here are ways that we could make it a good retirement plan that is based on what risks you want to mitigate and what goals you want to achieve so that you can sleep better at night.
And do you work with people across the US?
I do. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
All right. Good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Yes, thank you.